So Republicans are really struggling to defend Trump when it comes to him asking foreign countries for dirt on his political opponents. You're going to see first here a guy by the name of Jim Jordan, Representative Jim Jordan. He's the head of the Freedom Caucus. So he's a big name Republican in the House. And then you also have Senator Roy Blunt here, Republican Senator Roy Blunt. It's actually kind of funny. Look at how they struggle to defend Trump.
China should start an investigation into the Bidens, because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine.
There's President Trump on Thursday. We're joined now by the top Republican on the House Oversight Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan. Thank you for coming in today. Threshold question. Do you think it's appropriate for President Trump to ask China and Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden?
George, you really think he was serious about thinking that China's going to investigate the Biden family?
He said it right there in public.
I think he's getting, as I think Senator Rubio said a couple days ago, I think he's getting the press all spun up about this.
Are you comfortable with what the president has said here in this call for foreign governments, Ukraine and China, to investigate his political opponent?
Well, I doubt if the China comment was serious, to tell you the truth.
You don't take the president at his word?
The president loves to go out on the White House driveway. I haven't talked to him about this. I don't know what the president was thinking, but I know he loves to bait the press.
You think he was serious about that? Yeah, I mean, we just saw the video, and he just comfortably said it. It wasn't like, what, was that supposed to be a punchline? Like, who thinks in their right mind that if China was like, hey, just want to let you know, I have dirt on your political opponents, and I'd like you to see it. Who thinks Trump would be like, no, I reject on principle? Yeah. This is the point they're at. So Trump has another problem here. And the problem is Republicans are no longer willing to go as over the top as he goes in defending himself. Trump has a relentless blitzkrieg strategy when dealing with the media and dealing with the Democrats. And what he does is he knows the best defense is a good offense. And so that's why nonstop, over and over and over, he hits him and hits him and hits him and hits him and hits him. And you see, like, his Twitter feed is nothing but attacks on Democrats, and his whole line now is like, I have an absolute right to look at corruption. As president, I have an absolute right to investigate corruption. Believe me. And so that's the line he's going with, and he's just hitting them over and over and over with that. But his Republican counterparts, for whatever reason, they're uncomfortable saying that. Like, oh yeah, he's the president, he has a right to investigate corruption. Maybe because they fear a future Democratic administration investigating their corrupt asses. That could be the reason why. So instead what they're going to is, oh, when he said that he wanted China to investigate his political opponents, he's probably joking. Just be honest, man. I would give them a hell of a lot more respect if they just came out and said, we just don't think this is that big of a deal. It's called Oppo research. Oppo research happens in politics. Oh, you want to micromanage the source of the Oppo research? Wow. Like, how silly. You know Democrats are doing Oppo research as well. If they just gave that argument, I'd be totally fine with it. However, if they were to say that, then they better shut the hell up when in 2024, President Bernard Sanders gets some dirt on his opponent, Mike Pence, from AMLO in Mexico. When AMLO says, hey, I got some dirt on Mike Pence. He used to visit here in Mexico, and he was doing some interesting things, dog. So, I mean, I would respect that more if they were just honest about it, but they're not. They're just like, he was joking. He wasn't. Of course he wasn't joking. Of course he would take he keeps telling people he would take the information. Of course he would. He's saying, I'm investigating corruption. I have an absolute right to do so. So the idea is like, well, yeah, I'm going to look at the material that's given to me on my political opponents. Why wouldn't I? So at least just like be honest about it, man. Just be honest about it and just say that, but they don't. You know, some are doing it. Like Ron Johnson, he was on Meet the Press, and he brought up that Hillary did the same thing with Ukraine in 2016, which she did. She, you know, her team got dirt on Trump's administration, Trump's campaign at the time, from the Ukrainian government. And that's actually how we learned that Manafort was so deeply corrupt, because of Hillary's team working with the Ukrainian government to get that dirt. Now, this is where a lot of people, came at me on Twitter and were like, yeah, but she wasn't president. So it's like, fine. Either you agree that taking dirt on political opponents from foreign governments is wrong, or you don't. Full stop. You don't get to draw these weird, like, little caveats where you carve out things for yourself for your own partisan hackery. Like, if she wasn't president, okay, well then by that logic, your Russiagate was never anything anyway in the first place, right? You should have never cared about Russiagate. Why? Because when Donald Trump was working with Russia, then he wasn't president. He was just a candidate, so that doesn't count. You don't believe that. You don't believe that. So I would respect that response more if they were just like, yeah, I mean, but everybody does Oppo research. Democrats do it too. Okay, working with the foreign government, technically that's coloring outside the lines, but it's not really as big of a deal as you're making it out to be. Say that, but they don't. Most of them are like, he was joking. And they're struggling to defend him. And that is a genuine problem Trump has right now, because when you have all day long, nonstop, the media is just going after him and going after him and going after him and going after him. And the Democrats are going after him and going after him and going after him over this Ukraine thing. And now China too. And he's the only one defending himself really in strong terms. That does hurt. And that actually reminds me of an argument I heard for impeachment the other day that I never thought of, which I think is actually a clever point. And the person who made this argument predicted like the last 5 presidential elections correctly. So there's he's a legit professor, and this is not an argument to scoff at. But his point was, if the president gets impeached, if it gets through the House, even if it doesn't make it through the Senate, if it gets through the House, well, you can check the box of scandal by Donald Trump's name. So Donald Trump was president. Donald Trump was a scandal-ridden president. There was a scandal there. He got impeached through the House. So check the box of scandal. He says that's all you need in your analysis to have it hurt him in the upcoming election, is that just generic scandal, because most people in the country don't follow this stuff that closely. So to them, all they're getting from all the relentless coverage of this is, I don't know, man, there appears to be a lot of smoke there, so I guess there's a fire. I mean, if that's the case, then that's very good news for Democrats. Now, you guys know I've been a little skeptical of that idea, although I hadn't seen that idea laid out as clearly as it was from this professor. But that would be good. It would be good if just the fact that there's all this noise and all this smoke, people just assume there's fire and it hurts him in 2020. That would definitely be a positive thing. But he's on the defense for sure now. Yeah, I mean, he's going on the offense, but point is he's the only one going on the offense, and all of his Republican counterparts are really struggling to defend him. And I do have no doubt that behind closed doors, all like the Republican senators are like, God damn it, he's stupid, man. They resent the fact that he's putting them in these positions because he's too dumb, and he fires from the hip too much to be gentlemanly enough to cover up his corruption and his behind-the-scenes dealings. Like, listen, I really do think it's the case that all the other presidents did it. They do. I mean, again, I just told you, we know Hillary Clinton got dirt on Trump's campaign from the Ukrainian government. We know it. So did all of them have like, I have a principled objection, sir? Are you kidding me? Mitt Romney, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, all these people were like, oh, you got dirt, baby? Gimme. If the Israelis came to them and said, I got dirt on your opponent, what would they? No, I shall not look at it. Of course they're going to take it, of course. But the thing is, and this is what I think people resent in Washington, D.C. about Trump, is he's too dumb to cover it up. And he just kind of throws it out there casually, even in press conferences. Yeah, they should look at my political opponents. And they're all like, you gotta hide it. You gotta be careful about. What are you doing? So it's kind of funny in that way too. And he doesn't get it. Like he's too much of a child to get it. Like I'm sure somebody's told him like, yo, you gotta keep it on the low a little bit. And he's just like, no, you're right. I think that's a good idea. And then the next time he's in front of a camera. So anyway, China, do me a favor and look at my political opponents, Joseph Biden. They're crooked. Final thing I'll say is I still believe, despite all this, the best chance Democrats have is impeaching over emoluments and genocide in Yemen. Because I just think that's so much more poignant. There's so much more there that would shock anybody's conscience that, that would be a stronger thing than the Ukraine thing, because he is going to keep making his case, and he's not wrong when he says they're crooked. You could say the means by which he learned that is not right. Fair enough. But he's not wrong that they're corrupt. So I just think other avenues are better. But, I guess we'll see how it unfolds. But it's been following politics, following what's happening with this stuff is honestly like watching a TV show at this point. It's so nuts.